So I had posted a video a couple days ago about parking with TaskRabbit. When going to a task, who's covering the parking? Obviously, you're going there to do work for the client, and yeah, who's gonna pay for the parking? Is it gonna be you or the client? For this particular task, I had messaged the client ahead of time and told them that they need to cover the parking. Luckily, because when I got there, parking was $12 per hour. I was going to be there for 2 hours, which is $54 for the IKEA assembly. That would have been $24 of that $54 gone. So that would have been $30 for 2 hours worth of work, and that could have taken me longer. It could have taken me 3 hours, 4 hours. Luckily, it just took me 2 hours, right on. So $15 an hour when you own your own business, when you are paying business expenses and everything, is not enough to live off of. So this is my problem with this. This is what I talked about in that last video. Now, that's especially because not only that, but you also have to factor in your driving time to these jobs and everything. So if I'm doing a 2-hour job, it's going to take me at least half an hour to get there, half an hour to maybe get to my next job or whatever. So that's already 3 hours, and I can usually only fit in 2 tasks per day. That's an 8-hour work day. So yeah, the math just doesn't really work out. You think that you're going to be making a lot of money with this $27 an hour, and you think that you're going to be moving so fast that this $27 hour flat rate, you're going to be able to nail it. A lot of the times you don't. A lot of the times it takes exactly that time, maybe even a bit more. So the math is really difficult to do with this. Now, as far as parking goes, I did message TaskRabbit. They did get back to me on this, and they said that it is actually the tasker that needs to pay for all the expenses involved in getting to the task, which includes parking. So that means if I'm going to get a task that has $12 an hour parking, I need to pay for it. I'm not going to be making the money I want on this, and I can't refuse the task because it's going to hurt my ratings. And if it hurts my ratings, it means I'm going to get hired less. So it's, there's these things with TaskRabbit that you have to really be keeping an eye out for, and parking in a major city is definitely one of those things. Now, you can find cheaper parking, but if, in this particular case, this couple lived in a building where below was like a big shopping center, so the only parking there was that parking, unless I parked a block or so away and paid a bit cheaper parking. But walking with my tools and my step ladder to get there to be able to mount everything would have taken me at least 2 trips with all that stuff. It just doesn't make sense. So this is just another thing to just raise about working on this tasker platform, because you're not an employee, you're a contractor, and as a contractor, normally you set your own rules. You set your own, because you work for yourself basically. So obviously that doesn't really work with TaskRabbit. It almost seems like more you're an employee and less that you are your own contractor, which would be better to be an employee actually, because all the business expenses that go into it, and on top of that, if you're making, I covered this in a video before, if you're making more than $30,000 a year, which I am with my other business that operates in the summertime, you are also paying HST, which is not covered by that tasker rate. So 13% of that $27 an hour is also something I'm not making, including my, deducting my insurance, business insurance, and all that. All these things you need to be on the lookout for with TaskRabbit.